Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Who's He podcast with me, Phil.
He's got.
And after our emergency podcast last week, we are back on target again, back on track with something we should have done last weekend, but we had quite a few technical issues. But this week, we are back with our occasional series where we welcome each doctor and we look at their inaugural story that welcomed them to a waiting audience. And this time, we welcome the eighth doctor
Hmm.
in Doctor Who the movie, which celebrated its 30th anniversary back at the end of May. So we're a little bit late with this, aren't we?
Yes,
Yeah, but
just a bit.
we wanted to wait for the new Blu-ray to drop through the door before we did it. So we actually watched this nearly 2 weeks ago. So
Hmm.
we might be a little bit rusty on what we're
To be fair,
discussing. Who
I,
knows?
I do remember. I do remember most of it,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
hopefully it goes
But
fine.
yeah, I hope so as well. But I think before we begin looking at that, I think it's only fair to sort of do, I suppose, a little bit of news and like the fallout, I suppose, from Wednesday's announcement that the Doctor Who Christmas special has been cancelled, and Russell T Davies and Bad Wolf have also parted company from making Doctor Who. Um, what do you think of the fallout, Scott? Have you been looking, online and what's been going on and everything?
Not really. I kind of avoided it. Um, yeah, I'm not really that interested in it. As long as everything is going smoothly, and there's not some big bombshell that it's not coming back for 16 years again, then I'm not that concerned at the moment until we get to like 2028 and we have no season. Uh,
Yeah, I know. I
that's
think
when.
I know. I think that the thing is, people are saying it's definitely cancelled. It's not coming back. Well, that may be the case. We don't know. Well, nobody knows what's going on. But we have to take it as it is at the moment. That the
Mhm.
I think the BBC have obviously they have got some money for it. I would say if they put it out to tender, if that's what's happening, you can't go out to tender unless you've got a budget. So
Yes,
there must be something in the BBC coffers to
something
do that.
brewing around
Exactly.
there.
Now,
Um,
also you've had Russell T Davis has been on Gadio. Is that right? Is what the radio station is
yes,
called,
I
Gadio?
believe that's yeah.
And he was asked about Doctor Who on that, and I've only listened to a bit of it. Have you listened to it at all, Scott?
I just saw the bit of him talking about Doctor Who. That's all I,
Yeah, that's the
all
only
I
bit
saw.
I saw. He's basically sort of doubling down on what's happened really. He's also saying it's not been cancelled. It's gone out to tender. Um, a little bit. I felt a little bit patronising with his explaining what tender means, as if it was just exclusive to the world of showbiz. It's not. Tender process happens in a lot of just about every
Other
company.
things. Yeah.
If you want to go out to a contract, contract your services out, you put it out to tender. That's it's the same thing for for whether you're working for a charity or you're working for for the BBC. It makes no difference whatsoever, really. Um, so yeah, but then he also doubled down. I think he was also asked, would he have changed anything? If you could go back in time to when he did it for, was the showrunner for the second time, would he do anything different? And he just went, no, there's nothing I didn't like. Basically, that's just sort of summing it up.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. He's bound to double down. He's not someone to back down, Russell C Davies. I've never heard him admit he was wrong about anything, actually.
You
So,
know what?
no, I'm saying he was wrong. He felt what he was doing was right, and that's the same with any showrunner. They do what they feel is right. So
I
that's the end
mean,
of it, really.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, there's nothing wrong per se about the Disney era itself. It wasn't for everybody. It wasn't wrong. Like the whole era itself wasn't just wrong.
Some
If you get what
people
I
liked
mean.
it. It's just not
Yeah.
enough people liked it. I think was the
Yeah. I don't
thing.
think the word. I don't think the word wrong. It went wrong. Is a bad. Is a not the best way to
Well,
phrase it.
I'll come back to what I said when we did our emergency podcast last Wednesday was the fact that I think what went wrong was Disney. I think
Yeah. That
that's the thing that made it go wrong. I
the
think.
show itself wasn't wrong because shows evolve, they become different. I think the behind the scenes stuff was what really went wrong, not the actual. show itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think lots of people were saying, they brought back Susan Ford, Susan Foreman character Carol Ann Ford in the role and basically cut all of her stuff more or less.
Mm,
That's what happens. I mean, you've heard of lots of actors say, "Yes, I'm starring this new film." They find out when they get to the premiere that their role's been cut. And
yeah.
they're not in it at all. It happens a lot in showbiz,
Mm.
and film and
Especially,
TV.
especially with like first time actors. There was somebody who it was like their first time acting. They had like one scene, and the only that was like one of the few scenes that got cut from the movie
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they were
it
in. It was
happens.
their
It happens.
first ever appearance as well
I
in
think
anything.
the only thing you could probably say this time though that the Susan Foreman thing was a major plot point that just had to get dropped because Shooty Gatwa left the series,
Mm,
and that's down to Disney really, and the deal that was done with the BBC. He decided not to stick around. The other people are saying, well, he could have, stuck around, could have done other jobs until the contract was renewed, and then come back to it. Yeah, could have done, but that's not how things work. He's an
no.
actor. He's not going to hang around, refusing work, but because maybe in a couple of years' time he'll be filming Doctor Who again.
Yeah, and also because he doesn't know when it is, if he double books himself, what's he going to do then?
Well,
Because
yeah, exactly,
if they start telling
exactly.
him, oh, we're going to refilm Doctor Who
Yeah,
next year, and he's already booked to go into a movie overall next year, I'm so sorry.
yeah.
That's
You've
my
got a bit
voice.
of a dodgy throat against that, haven't you? So,
I've had a bit of a dodgy week. Uh,
yeah, you have really, haven't you? Yeah,
yeah,
yes, yeah. Sorry, Scott, you're saying.
yeah. I just actually forgot what I was saying. Yeah,
Oh,
as I
never
said,
mind.
yeah, he's kind of obviously he's not gonna do that to himself, especially if Doctor Who probably doesn't pay him as much as a movie does. So
Well, yeah, yeah,
I'd
yeah,
I'd,
or
I'd
whatever.
understand,
Or whatever
you
it
know.
might be, what he wants to do. I think the other thing as well, but the whole thing about the script not being written, I think a lot of people have obviously, that there's always a breadcrumb trail on the internet, and I think people have gone referred back to the DWM Doctor Who magazine
Mm,
December 25 edition where Russell. Now again, he just could have just been pulling some words out of thin air to say yes, there's a script being written. I still think there was something
or
written.
at least there's some scenarios
Yeah,
planned out.
or some outlines of a plot or something like that. But
Yeah,
he mentioned three words, didn't he? Um,
Bufflers or something. It was Winter
Buffalo,
Nox.
I
No,
can't,
Bafflers, Winter Nox, and something else that I
uh,
can't
Baffler's
remember.
Winternox and Pimhole. I don't know. There was something. I don't know. I'm going with Pimhole.
Pinhole. Okay,
Pimhole.
right.
um, yeah, I don't know. He could have just been pulling our chain on that. I think it was a bit of a. It turns out it may just been a bit of a ruse.
Mm,
Um, but I'm still of the opinion that I think there was a script written, and I think that his press release afterwards, I think, was a little bit sour grapes, bit come across a little bit sort of petulant, actually. But maybe
mm.
I'm probably doing exactly the same thing as everyone else been doing. A lot of people have been doing, reading far too much into it. And of course, there's an awful lot of people. Have you noticed? There's an awful lot of people out there who think they can run the show now as well. Just bring back this, and it'll be perfectly fine.
No, don't stop bringing back stuff from 1970s Doctor
Exactly,
Who.
that's the
A
thing, isn't
one-off
it?
villain who appeared for like two stories. I'll say one-off villain for
Oh
one
dear.
story. We don't want to bring back
The
some random
Do you know
character.
what? There's only two things I'm would say I kind of agree. Yeah, bring back Paul McGann. Let him do a short series, like a little mini
Yeah,
series or something.
like the further adventures of the eighth.
Yeah,
They
I'll be
don't
quite.
like
Don't
we
need
don't need
massive
it.
massive budgets or anything like for things like that. Make it
We
small, contains. Oh, I'm doing it now. I'm doing it.
don't do
And
it.
I wouldn't mind seeing Joe Martin getting a crack of the whip either.
Well,
Actually,
she technically has at the moment. She's getting some
well,
audio
it's
stories and
technically Big Finish. It's another one of those sort of expanded media things, isn't it? Which
I
I
will get
unfortunately
the
I've got no interest in.
I
But
will get the comics though. I'm doing like a
yeah,
comic.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to
I
be
think
doing that.
it's one of the things we'll look back on in the future. This whole thing and just kind of run over it. Like we've sort of run over the sort of wilderness years now. They're not really as important as they were
Yeah, I
a
don't
while
think.
back. And I
Yeah,
generally think that in the next couple of years, people might start appreciating the era because a lot of people, horrible people, I have to admit, people that I actually find are quite sour online because of the sour people who put rip Doctor Who 1963 2017 like in the politest way,
Yeah.
shut up, shut up.
Yes, indeed.
Like,
Shut
why
up.
would you go around like what are those poor like all those people that like Shooty Gatwa and Jodie Whittaker's era in an alternate timeline? It never ever happened. Now we're gonna cast this other random person to be the Doctor. Shut up.
I know, I
Just
know.
be quiet.
I know it's there's a lot of people going, I told you so. And I wasn't the biggest fan of the last two series, as people this podcast know. It wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination. I tried so hard to like it, but it just wasn't for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's
Not to say I'm never going to watch the show again, and R.I.P. Doctor Who, when Peter Capaldi or Jodie Whittaker left the show, it just wasn't for me, But that's the
and
thing with Doctor Who. Sylvester McCoy's era wasn't for me, but I've come to like it now. Maybe in a few years I'll come to like Shooty Gatwas. I just like
it's one of those things that everyone was saying stuff like Doctor Who's so dead. Well, Doctor Who in like 2021 on like 2020 when Series 12 came out, that's when like Doctor doing a Doctor Who YouTuber was booming. Like nearly like so there was so many Doctor Who YouTubers, and it's not fair to say it was dead because that really was the time to be a Doctor Who YouTuber because it just was. Everybody was filming
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. It's what was
So
when we started this very podcast. There was so many Doctor Who podcasts out there that it was insanely popular. But it's just things come and go, and unfortunately, a lot of those podcasts have long since gone. We're still plugging away for better or worse. We haven't really improved our listenership in the last 15 years. It's is what it is, really, But we're,
yeah,
we're still plugging away. We're still trying to. I'm not going to say we're relevant. We're not relevant. I'm certainly not. I'm a middle-aged, man who remembers Doctor Who from back the 1970s. So and keeps
in
going
the
on about it.
in the 1973 serial, this character appeared as I don't know, I
Yeah, but uh,
don't
but anyway, I think we just wanted to sort of like just briefly talk about the fallout from last week, and I dare say this will rumble on because my social media feeds where it's been hardly any Doctor Who related content at all is now absolutely stuff full to the rafters with Doctor Who content. A lot of it's not worth reading, to be fair.
I feel really bad for like the first like 10 minutes we've had on here. It's just me complaining about classic Doctor Who fans, and I'm some of the, like Kaiser.
We can be well to be fair, Scott. Us classic Doctor Who fans can be pretty despicable, actually.
No, I feel bad because I do like classic Doctor Who, but
I know
I've
you
been
do.
I've
I know
been
you do.
watching lots of New Who recently, and I've begun to realize that actually I'd rather be part of the New Who fans than
Yes, indeed, indeed. Well, in a moment, I think we are going to be discussing old New Who,
oh
actually,
New Who.
old New Who when we talk about Doctor Who the movie. So I think that's it. We just wanted to sort of briefly sort of go through what's been happening over the last few days or since Wednesday. So for another episode, then that was the news. Hi, everybody. It's time to welcome the Eighth Doctor, and we're going to be talking about Doctor Who, the movie. So, on the 27th of May, 1996, I was certainly very, very excited because, Paul McGann was the new Doctor. We had Doctor Who, the movie, and the 27th of May was a bank holiday Monday in the UK. And I'm looking at the BBC Genome website, and it was shown at 20:30 on a Monday evening, bank holiday Monday, and it finished at 5 to 10, actually, hour and 25 minutes. The big thing on telly that day was the International Festival of the Sea, which ironically had Sandy Toksvig in it. So 30 years ago, it's not much change, the same people on the television. Yeah, so I remember watching it quite clearly, actually. I was sitting in my bedroom at my parents, I was living at home with my parents at the time. Remember sitting upstairs watching it, insanely excited for watching it. And I remember when it finished, I was a little bit disappointed with it when it finished. But we'll find out whether my attitude has changed at all. But obviously, this introduced Paul McGann as the Doctor. We said goodbye
Mhm.
to Sylvester McCoy and said hello to Paul McGann. So, Scott, had you watched this before recording this podcast?
No,
You hadn't seen anything about it at
no.
all. Well, obviously, you've listened to a few Big Finish with Paul McGann, hadn't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So,
I
Yeah, so
Indeed.
you have had some experience with Paul McGann prior to this end. So we watched the US version, the uncut version on our nice shiny Blu-ray. And Scott, what did you think? Now you've finally seen it.
Um, well, if you just want to quickly point out, the US version is basically just some more gunshots and surgery scenes.
Yeah.
It just makes the movie like 2 minutes longer at that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, if that,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you might want to go and watch it. It doesn't add that much, but it
No.
was interesting to see it the full movie instead of the uncut one. The cut one. I liked it. I think I might just start off chronologically and what happened in order of who we met first. Talk about it that
Well,
way.
actually, I think
Um,
actually before you do, I think it's just worth explaining to people who never listened to this or watch, but might be watching for the first time on YouTube as well, because it's obviously it's going out on YouTube as well. When we do Welcome the Doctor series, we don't actually sort of really talk about the actual plot of the story itself. We talk about whether it was a good story to introduce a new Doctor to the audience, to the old audience and to a new audience as well. So that's what we're really sort of delving into, rather than about the sort of mechanics of the plot. But yeah, sorry, Scott, you were going to say who do we meet? Who do we meet first? Because there's a lot of exposition at the beginning, isn't there?
yes. So first off, we technically meet the Master, which
Mm.
who's in a cage. He did something, got imprisoned by the Gallifreyans and no,
No,
the
he's imprisoned
Daleks,
by the
Daleks,
Daleks.
Daleks.
Yes,
And then the Doctor offered to take him back to
remains back to
home.
Gallifrey. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know why the Doctor's now best buddies with the Daleks and taking their prisoners, but
True, very true.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. I mean, sometimes it's good to see the Daleks be nice for a
Or you
change.
hear some very Daleks that sound like a bit like Smurfs. Actually, they're not. Yeah,
Okay.
they hadn't got the effect quite right for the voice there, had they? But bless them. Um,
Um.
but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They.
But does it? Do you think that the story is
So.
good at introducing Paul McGann? Because it starts off with, because it's different for especially in 1996. It was different for a regeneration story, because usually a an episode finished with a regeneration, and then you had to wait for the next episode or the next season to begin to see your new Doctor in action. That's pretty much sort of what's happened when it came back in 2005 as well. But with this, you get Sylvester McCoy for the first, what, 10-15 minutes?
He's in it for quite a while, I'd say,
Yeah,
actually, to be
something like
fair.
that.
So I think that was pretty good. It gives Mr. McCoy a regeneration, which is nice to see. I think it makes sense and just putting some random Doctor in, especially for the fans of the classic era at that point, or just Doctor Who at that point. It would have been for Doctor Who, who are probably thinking, "Where's Sylvester McCoy? Why is he not in this?" And then he actually turns up. That's quite cool
Yeah,
to see.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that worked quite well. And then when the regeneration scene was very odd regeneration. It just makes some funny faces,
I
and
no,
then
I quite I quite
it's
like
quite
it actually.
effective though because it's got like the lightning and the nurse surgeon the mortuary guy
Mortuary assistant. Yeah,
is
yeah.
watching Frankenstein. I don't know why you'd watch Frankenstein in a mortuary,
It's
to be
actually no,
honest, but
it's well, I don't know why, because it seems to be like a, because it's meant to be like near New Year's Eve, and he's watching, which would probably expect to be shown at Halloween perhaps, but it's meant to be that juxtaposition between Dr. Frankenstein having his monster come to life. That point in the film is going, it's alive, and then at the exact same moment, the Doctor's regenerate, and so's the Master, actually, when he
mm,
takes over the body of Bruce. So there's bits in this like from the director Jeffrey Sachs, which I really like. I like that juxtaposition between Frankenstein's monster coming to life and the Doctor regenerating, the Master sort of finding his new body or host, whatever you want to call it. And then I like some of the bit later on with the police bike chase as well, in the chase in the ambulance. I thought, or the ambulance chasing them rather. I like that it's very sort of quickly cut as well. So it's done really. I think there's some good stuff in this. I think it's quite well
mm,
directed actually.
yeah,
Um,
I
and to be
like
honest,
the
I think skip to the end really. I enjoyed watching this, and I've watched it quite a few times since 1996, and we did on this very podcast we did an audio commentary for it many years ago now, which we had quite a lot of fun with actually. But I actually really enjoy this. To be fair, I really do. We come back to the exposition. It does a lot of exposition at the beginning, just sets the scene, and then it just does its own thing after that. And you've got a few little, I don't know what you call it, little sort of lore drops in there, like Jelly
Yeah,
Babies and Sonic Screwdrivers, 500 Year Diaries, and
but you have to know what that
you
is.
don't know. And he's sort of when he's looking for his outfit, and he finds a excuse me, he finds a long scarf in the wardrobe or the lockers. So yeah, it's there just to to you know tickle the fancy of old Doctor Who fans, which I think it's perfectly fine actually. Um, but I think it's got a lot of. Do you think it's got a lot to do because it's got to introduce the new Doctor, or introduce an old Doctor, then brings a new Doctor, a new assistant, reintroduces the Master. Um, there's lots of things to do with this, isn't there?
Yeah, it does. It does a lot. I think it does pretty well though in the time it gets. I mean, it's not exactly the longest movie ever. It's a movie, but it's not
Well,
too long. And I
it's
think
a
I
pilot, isn't it? It's a TV pilot, which unfortunately didn't
in the
get
time it
picked
in the
up.
time it gets, I think it does a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
so. I think so.
it sets up. You could tell that the whole series, the series it was going to like come afterwards, was
Hmm.
going to be very Gallifrey focused. You could tell by this that it was definitely going to be quite
Well,
Gallifrey focused.
I think
It
had it gone forward, it would have been. I hadn't read about what it would have been. It would have been the Doctor searching for his father. Was it Ulysses or something? And the Doctor the
yeah.
Doctor and Master were brothers, and that or it was something like that. Yeah, so but the thing it would have set up its own thing, but at the same time, it was also referencing the past as well. So it's and I think that's the problem. Every time they say, "Oh, we're going to reboot Doctor Who," but every time they do, that you can't really fully reboot the show and start from scratch because you've always got 60, like now you've got 60 years worth of content behind it, and people are
Mm.
always because it's so ingrained in certainly in the UK, and I don't know whether and this was really for a US audience. This Doctor Who the movie, it was a pilot for a US TV series, which never happened. So I don't know, but even then, you got some Doctor Who fans who in America grew up watching it on PBS.
Mhm.
They
Yeah,
would
it's
know what
true.
all this stuff was. So yeah, I'm not sure whether sort of trying to start from scratch is really a
The best way to
best way to do
go.
it. Just maybe sort
Mm.
of drop in the odd thing every now and again, just sort of drip feed it in, rather than just big information dump and that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, but
Yeah.
no, I think
I
it does.
agree.
Yeah. What do you think of Grace as a companion?
I quite liked her. She didn't. I mean, she didn't really. I mean, she kind of died like by the end of the movie, and then came back to life. I think she was quite important for the Eighth Doctor. I'd say because she was kind of the first person that the Seventh Doctor saw when waking up from his strange
Mm,
trance shocked thing that he went into in the surgery room. So
yeah,
I think
yeah.
she killed the Seventh Doctor.
Yeah, she's
Uh,
not a very good surgeon, is she?
to be fair to her, I would also get confused if my patient had two hearts and was like
Well, the fact is,
very confusing.
when she puts that camera probe in his chest gun and says, "I'm lost," instead of pulling it out, she just keeps going.
I
So
was just like,
it doesn't stop. Um, yeah.
no,
So
it doesn't make sense. I was
no,
like,
it doesn't. It
stop
doesn't.
the surgery,
I
please.
know. I know. Yeah. So then you got Chang Li Yiji So as well. I mean, he's more of the master's companion
Mm.
in this. I
It's
think
sort
because
of
I
a
think a lot of people misremember this as saying, "Oh, the Doctor had two companions in this." He didn't. He had Grace. The Master had Chang Li. And I think
mm.
that's and that was quite good. That it was sort of like it was a proper mirroring of the characters. I felt
And
because
it,
because you never had
it
that in
yeah,
old or even new Doctor. The Master was just on his own,
and it
really,
made
wasn't he?
sense because he was trying to frame the Doctor as a bad person. So if he got his own companion, it made him look like the Doctor as well,
Yeah, yeah.
which works quite nicely with what he was trying
It's
to
a
do
shame. I
about the
mean,
thing.
Chang Li didn't have a lot to do in this. Really, he didn't have as much to do
He
as
was
Grace did, for argument's sake.
he was an interesting character though. We never really had a character who's a criminal as a companion before. That's
Well,
not
that
what
kind of fitted the
would have
mask
been
though,
done.
didn't it? The
He gets along
criminal.
with. He does he does when he won't notices that the Eighth Doctor is actually right. He
Yeah,
does get. Yeah, I can see like a little trio there, but they left at
yeah.
the end of the movie.
He's not a
Um,
bad person, is he?
no,
As such, Chang Li.
he's
No.
just troubled. Could you
Yeah, I thought you could say
say it
just
like
gone
that?
off the rails a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
he's not
what about Eric Roberts
okay.
as the master?
I think he did a good performance. However, I cannot see the Master being American. I just can't see it. It's just something
I
about an American Master that's just kind of like,
it's like a lot of people said now, oh, it wouldn't matter if the Doctor was played by an American actor. I think it would actually, because it's very much a British show with British sensibilities, and I think they should stop trying to. And they actually, to be fair, I don't think they tried to pander to an American audience too much in this, and I think that's what they. I don't know. To be honest, they didn't really do that in the Disney era. It was still very much a British show. But I think there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, it must accommodate an international audience." No, people watch it because it is a British show with British quirks and sensibilities, and I think that Doctor Who the movie still captures that. Actually,
mm,
I think it does.
yeah. I think it's just the Master's the cheesiest character in this whole
He's not as
thing.
over the top as I remembered. Actually,
He is very it's so very dramatic though. There's something about
yeah.
running around wearing Time Lord robes and cracking people's neck, which is a bit like, okay,
Yes, it is quite. Yeah,
I
he's.
get the Master kills people and all, but I think that's really crazy. Actually, I
Yeah,
think that's when, um, yeah. Also, there's where he's wearing complete black leather, which is just like,
that long leather trench coat. Yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
it's
It's
very
it's very 90s actually. I mean,
yes,
it's very much of its
uh,
time. Even on the Blu-ray cleanup, you can tell that the film quality is still very 90s. The way it's lit is very 90s.
but
And it's like he's like going back in time. I remember.
I still think it looks great. I
It
still
does.
think the whole
I
movie
think
looks. I
it
mean, it had a
does.
5 million budget to be fair, and it does
Yeah.
pull off some pretty good special effects, especially like the Master's snake and the green eyes, and the Eye of Harmony when it opens and all those leaves sort of spreading about and the light from that, and
Yeah, I
it
think
looks amazing.
I know, I think before we get into Paul McGann, I think let's talk about that TARDIS set because I think it looks
Oh
gorgeous. I love it.
yeah,
I
it's sort of the beginning of the New Who ones. That sort of huge, less clinical feel. They're much
yeah.
more bright, not bright. That's not really the
No,
best way to describe this TARDIS.
no,
Much more
it's
cozy. It feels like
gothic. It's very
yeah,
well, people say it's a steampunk feel to it. I don't think it is steampunk. I think
no,
maybe the console's a bit steampunk. It's like a like modern technology using Victorian components, I suppose you could say. But I think it's a very gothic looking TARDIS interior,
and so is
with all
the
the
eighth.
candles and the big
Yeah,
iron girder arches over the top of the console, and also the Eye of Harmony. Again, it looks like inside of a cathedral.
it's
I love it. I think it's
it's
great.
definitely. I think it definitely feels like it's designed around the costumes. The Mr. McCoy's outfit when you see him at the beginning of the movie, that's very calm compared to what he got before, and that sort of suits that sort of gothic vibe of like
Yeah.
mysterious sort of. And then it goes back to Paul McGann, who's wearing like an Edwardian
Well,
type
It's Wild Bill Hickok is what he's
dress.
dressed as. It's a Wild Bill Hickok
So
fancy dress. Yeah.
yeah, I think it sort of suits that. I think it was designed around that, or either or like vice versa. The TARDIS was the outfits TARDIS outfits kind of thing. I
Yeah.
could tell,
Yeah.
and also even when you get to like Grace's outfit, that's quite the coat's quite dark as well. And you can tell that it was all they've all designed it around that one TARDIS because a lot of it's set at night. So the TARDIS is a really
Yes.
integral. You don't even get that much time in the TARDIS console room itself. A lot of it's in the Eye of Harmony. So it's crazy it had such a big impact.
I know. I
And
know.
now
It's
it's really nice.
it's one of the few things when I watched it at the time that I really loved was that TARDIS interior. I think it looks magnificent. I think it's one of the best sets they come up with until, for my money, until Peter Capaldi's TARDIS set, which I absolutely adore, and it's the background behind me now, actually.
Of the YouTube video.
Yes. So
Yes.
Yeah, so I go. So really, we haven't really spoken about Paul McGann yet, have we? I
Mm,
mean, I it's interesting actually. Looking back on this, is how much I think his performance and this story has influenced modern Doctor Who. When I say modern Doctor Who, I mean 2005 when it came back then.
hmm
Um, I think that the Doctor Who's a bit more, I suppose you could say, a bit more human, a bit
I mean, it
more.
even says he's half human
Yeah,
kind of thing as
exactly.
well. So,
That got a lot of fans upset at the time. I just ignored it. It's just there. Like the timeless
mm,
child thing. It's there. You can.
it's there.
It's there. That's it. Um, yeah. So but I liked his sort of joyful, lust for life attitude when he sort of remembered who he was and everything. So I really enjoy his performance actually, and it. I think he would have been had he. I mean, he did continue on Big Finish. Let's be honest. I think had this gone to series, I think there would have been a lot to have enjoyed with his
Yeah, I
performance. Like,
think
yeah, I think he's
it's
great.
it's this is the most English thing about the whole movie. In his voice, it's very English. You get what I mean?
Well, you
It's
would
so
hope
like
so. He's English.
it's so it's this is sort of the sort of stereotype of an English voice very monotone and quite flat, and he sort of has it sort of like that sort of voice. It's quite flat. It's quite
Yeah,
monotone. It's that same. It's quite relaxing. I have to admit, it's a very yeah. I quite like his portrayal as a doctor. I
yeah,
didn't get to see
yeah.
much
No, I
of it,
do.
so
I, th- I
we can't really rate much of it because obviously it's not the most well known probably doctor out of all of them. I think unless you're
unfortunately
unless
no.
you're a big Finish fan, then
Yeah,
you're
he
probably
should have
not.
been. I think he should have been more well known to the general public as the Doctor, and I
He
think
would have become the
he would
David
have been.
Tennant of Doctor Who
Yes, that's a very good analogy. I think in 1996 he would have been the David Tennant of Doctor Who.
equivalent. Yeah.
Yeah, he would have
Well,
been.
before
Yeah,
David
top.
Tennant became
Really,
David. Yeah.
it's just unfortunate. I mean, in the UK, it got massive viewing figures. It was really, really
Mm.
popular.
Well.
But
Mm.
unfortunately, they put it up against. I think there were two things they put it up against in the United States. I think it was something to do with Roseanne. It was the finale of Roseanne, which was a popular sitcom. You probably wouldn't have heard of it,
I think
Roseanne
I know.
Barr.
I
Do you
think
know who
I.
I'm talking about?
I think I know what it is.
Yeah, so I think it went up against that, and I think there was some big sporting event because sport on US television to this day, like US sport, like NFL or hockey or baseball, whatever it might be,
It's huge.
is huge. Yeah, that's what puts bums on seats in
Mm.
American television. So I know I think it definitely went up against Roseanne, and I think it went up against a sporting event as well, if I
It was
remember
probably
rightly.
like rugby or something like
It
that.
would have been NFL, yeah, American football. So yeah, he did very badly, unfortunately, and unfortunately, viewing figures do mean something in the US,
Mm.
and yeah, it never went to series, unfortunately. But that's when Doctor Who was stuck in that rights hell for a number of years because it was the BBC it was a joint production between the BBC, 20th Century Fox, and also Universal Television.
At one point
Yeah.
during the Wilderness years, the Met Police tried to copyright the blue box and the police
Oh,
box.
I know. Yeah, it's just a shame because this was sort of like this was meant to get us out of the wilderness, so-called wilderness years, and unfortunately we went back into wilderness years again. And it wasn't really wilderness because I mean, 3 years later, after this film aired, Big Finish started. You had all
hmm
the Virgin New Adventures. You had there
Mm.
was stuff out there. So
Well, really,
it was
it's.
wilderness years when it comes to television,
I
and
think
that's it
that's where
really.
that's why it is the Wilderness years because it's when Doctor Who wasn't on the air officially permanently on the air every single year. That's why it's
Yeah,
the Wilderness years, which kind of gives it a
yeah,
title. We've
yeah.
entered we've entered the second Wilderness years now for the foreseeable future until
Well,
something
I'm not saying it's the
happens.
wilderness years. I think it's too early to say that. I think if it's 10 years pass before Doctor Who's back on the telly again, I think you could say yes, those were the wilderness years. I think right now it's just hiatus. It's just not on the air for a bit. That's it.
Mm.
But that's not to say they might start, producing, writing scripts, and so then it's not on high. If they're doing something with the show, then it's not on hiatus. But I mean, for between 1989 and 1996, there were a few things bubbling along, like the Dark Dimension. Then you also had the Dimensions in Time as well. So that
I mean, you also had
for
like
better or worse,
the BBC books and stuff
you did,
around that
yeah.
time, and the Virgin New Adventures. So
That's what
there
I'm saying.
wasn't
It
it
wasn't,
wasn't dead, but it just wasn't on the air, and there wasn't anything. You had to really
yeah,
expand what was already in the universe
yeah. And but basically,
instead of new
you
stuff.
had people who were now like showrunners of Doctor Who when it came out in 2005, like people like RTD and Stephen Moffat and
Hmm.
Mark Gatiss. They were sort of keeping that, the Doctor Who flag flying back in the day. They were the guys who were, people were meeting up in the Fitzroy Tavern.
I mean, really, a
And
lot of it was also the Big Finish people. Forgot his name. That guy who worked at Big Finish for a while and then left with his name Gareth or something. No, I can't remember his
no, I
name.
don't know what you're talking about, mate. No, no,
He
not
was at
Nicholas.
Hoover. He was at Hooverville a couple of years back. He worked on Doctor Who for a while. Can't
Don't
remember
know,
his name.
don't
Oh
know.
my gosh.
We had people like Nicholas Briggs were there as
Mm,
well. Yeah, they were always sort of bubbling away in the background, and then sort of got into the show when it came back. So, yeah, there was always no doubt that will happen now. If Doctor Who is off the air for a few more years, you're gonna have those
mhm.
people who were carrying the flag for fandom, um, and writing stuff and things like that. They could be a future showrunners or script writers or directors. It's
Yeah.
that's what happens.
And I
That's
think there's this kind of thing where like Doctor Who fans obviously want Doctor Who fans to be the showrunner, but Doctor Who after 2005 has always been a show run by fans,
in a
which
funny way. Yeah, it has. Yeah,
I mean, you could argue that it isn't. I mean, they're technically professional writers, but they're also fans
I think
on
certainly
top
from
of
the
that.
well, certainly from the 1980s onwards, it was written by
Yes.
fans, and I don't know. I mean,
Well,
I think Matthew Jacob who wrote this. I mean, his dad was an actor who was in the Gunfighters, so he does have a connection to
mm,
Doctor Who. I don't think I can't remember actually. I don't think he was an actual fan as such, but he
I mean,
certainly
to be fair, writers by the late 80s. But I would argue that I don't know, right, like a script so like Andrew Cartmel. I don't think he was a massive fan of the show. So you know,
I think that
uh,
helps
I think
sometimes.
I think that's kind of why now we
Yeah,
look back on just First McCoy era, it's so different compared to obviously after season 24, which was really an abomination. And even I think it's not very good. Um, season 24. That's when it became. That's when Doctor Who really. That was really what I think is really the origins of New Who. I think that's kind of where they attempted to start making Doctor Who more character focused
yeah.
than
Well,
sort of.
do you know what? To be fair,
I think,
coming back to Doctor Who the movie, this is more character driven than it is.
yeah.
There's not a lot of flashy um, special effects or anything. I suppose you could say that the flashiest special effect you get is when the Doctor walks through the pane of glass when reality's breaking down,
Mm,
because the eye harmony's open. So yeah, I think that's probably about the one of the flashiest things in
yeah.
it. It's quite a low key kind of story. I know it's meant to be like an earth shattering, world ending event, but it doesn't
Mm,
really
play
feel
into
like
that.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's full of,
It's. I quite like that it's character focused because it needs to be to set up what's coming for the future. It needs to be focused on the Eighth Doctor as a
yeah,
character, which I think works quite well because I was talking about like yesterday with how in TV and film now a lot of the time everything's plot driven again, and you often find that characters are more dislikable because they become one note and they all kind of merge into one person, especially in recent years where it's more fast paced, plot driven because people just can't sit down and watch a 3 hour movie
yeah, that's right.
anymore.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
because I think this is a good example of how to set up something as a pilot or as a general movie example because it's character driven, but also manages to focus on the plot. It's like 75% character, 25% plot, which works well. Whereas television sort of changed now into 75% plot, 25% character, which often doesn't work because, as I said, if you're not
no.
getting if you're not getting a good connection with the character,
Well,
then
I
why do you
think
want to keep
I
watching it?
know. I think that's one of the things that people have criticised modern Who for now. Actually, is the
Mm.
fact that
Well, only
they
really.
well no, they try and cram so much into that 45, 50 minute format.
Mm.
Um,
Well, only really in
and
recent years.
it's done at the expense of character, and it's because everything's very. I will admit, modern Doctor is very overblown. A lot, some of it is very overblown, and it's just too much. So everything sort of
Mm.
sometimes it's a lot of show but don't tell. Um, yeah, it's shorthand television
Well,
to a certain degree.
technically, you could argue that show not tell actually kind of changed in the Jodie Whittaker era. That became tell not show. That was a lot of
A bit
exposition
too much
in that.
exposition. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I'd argue that I don't want to be a Jodie Whittaker and she to get what hated, but I'd argue after series 11, Doctor Who's like character development fell flat. That's
Hmm.
when it became flat. I'm not saying I don't. I really enjoy that sort of era of Doctor Who, and it's like really my
Well,
era
that's
if
the
you really
thing.
think about it.
I mean, Paul
I mean,
McGann's. I
I
mean,
think
let's bring it back to Paul McGann because obviously you saw him in this. He was full of life. He was snogging his companion, which really annoyed people at the time. No hanky
three.
panky in the TARDIS. But it's. I think it's very much the template for Doctor Who when it came back in 2005, even down to the titles as well, with that time vortex and the actors' names coming towards the screen, the TARDIS spinning the vortex. I feel it borrowed very heavily from. I keep knocking the microphone. Sorry. I think it borrowed very heavily from Doctor Who the movie, which says to me they got an awful lot right.
Yeah, I
To be
think they
fair,
did get
because
it
even
right.
if like nearly like
Um,
9 years later, they're sort of almost copying the format for that one.
the thing is with Doctor Who is that even if the characters are flat, which they have been, you can tell that everyone's still having a really great time because it's Doctor Who and it's one of the biggest shows in the UK. Well,
Yeah,
kind of. It's one of the most well known shows, especially to people over 20. Probably
yeah.
less likely now because some people don't even know what a Dalek is.
No,
In the
exactly.
UK.
Well,
It's one of those
yeah.
things that even if it's bad, I think you still find some way to enjoy it. I think and even like the cast members are like really enjoying it, even if they don't have much to do. Like you see, but I
I mean,
think
fortunately, I mean, they mean, unfortunately, because the characters themselves are still under contract to 20th. I think it's 20th Century Fox, so they can't be
mm,
used again. So I mean, the only thing that could be used was the Master, but Chang Li and Grace were their own. Those characters are owned by 20th Century Fox. That's why you've never seen them in Big Finish, or even when Paul McGann was regenerated in Night of the Doctor, he wasn't even allowed to name check them. I keep knocking the microphone. I do apologise. Yeah, he wasn't even to name check them because the BBC don't own the rights to them, which
I
is
mean it's really
rights is a ridiculous thing. But yeah, I think it's a real shame that they can't be sort of brought back. The actors they have come back in Big Finish, I understand, but that's
mm,
it. Yeah,
as their original characters.
no, as someone else.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
It's
just the
really
actors.
unfortunate. I really want to see more of that sort of trio.
The trio
But
again.
to be fair, I don't really think you can that much because they did go off at the end and leave the
Leave it,
Doctor
yeah.
just
Well,
around
that's the thing.
dying.
I think had it gone to series, I think they would have come back.
But as sort of
Actually,
like after the first series when they just come back for like a couple of episodes. Why am I talking about that? A couple of episodes, a couple of episodes.
well, who knows? They could have come back full
Yeah.
time. There could have been some sort of plot thing that brings them both. Brings them both. I keep
Oh
knocking the
my
microphone.
gosh.
I do apologise. It's my. I've sort of changed myself a little bit, and I've got the pop screen, and I keep knocking the arm of the pop screen all the time as I'm getting animated with my hands. If you're watching this on YouTube,
No.
yeah. So I do apologise. I think we talked about this long enough, Scott. We've been going on for quite some
It's
quite
one of
some
those
time
things
now.
where like it's such a packed movie.
I know it is good, but I think for
It's
people listening, people certainly watch us on YouTube. I think it's gone on for quite long enough now, actually. So let's rate this one, shall we?
okay. I shall give it. I don't know. I feel like because it didn't set up anything afterwards, it kind of
Well,
uh,
just talk about
mm,
on its own merits. What do you think as introducing the Doctor? Do you think it did a good enough job of introducing Paul McGann?
I'll give it like an 8.5. I'd say.
8.5. Okay, okay.
8.5,
Um,
8.75, 8.99,
do you know
something around
what?
there.
I'm because I really enjoyed this, and I think had this gone to series, it would have been really, really good. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10.
I think it
Actually, I really like it.
works as a
Actually,
comfort story kind of thing. It's quite
yeah.
nice to watch in a calm autumn day with your hot chocolate and
Yes,
etc.
maybe. But no, I really like it. I really like it. So yeah, 9 out of 10 from me. So that's it for this episode. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing next. I'm not, yeah, what do we've got to get up to Random Who. We've got Revenge of the Cybermen to look at,
Ah,
haven't we, at some point? But
yes.
we don't know when we're going to be doing it because we've got to sit down and watch it first. So I'm not too sure what's going to happen next week yet. So we shall. Well, you'll find out when we know, basically.
Yes,
Yes, indeed.
you
Yeah,
shall know one
yeah.
day.
So until then, should we wrap this up, Scott?
Yes,
Yes,
sure.
we're done. We're done. Okay, everybody. So until then, it's goodbye from me, Phil.
And goodbye from me, Scott.
Goodbye.